Hey
We're on.
guys.
We're live. Monday night show. Welcome back to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry we're 6 minutes late. We were just discussing some topics which will come out into the show very shortly. Just a few passionate pleas on certain topics, should we call it. But good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. Tiggs, welcome. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Sorry about last week. And thank you for the love, Michael and Anthony and the like. Good to be missed. Yeah, no, I'm excited to have the show. We got a lot to talk about with the review of the season. There's positives, there's a few negatives, but I reckon there's a lot more positives personally. And I've got a few trades. Some of the stuff I sort of mentioned is starting to come out. So I've got a bit of trade goss as well towards the end of the show. And we'll lock in more of a concrete. I reckon next week or the week after, I'll come in with a few doozies from what I've been hearing.
Doozy. The doozy's
No,
back.
it's not the doozy. I've just heard. Obviously the GWS with Hopper, Taranto and stuff is coming out. But there's a few other ones. The McGrath, I want to talk a bit about that. I know a few retirements I've heard really strong mail on that I think are going to happen. And I've got a few re-signing newses that I've heard. Newses, is that a word? Anyway,
No, it's not, but we'll run with it. That's okay.
You're making as much sense as Tom Brown, so keep going.
Oh, you bastard. That's it. I'm off the show. See?
And EJ, welcome back to you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well, very well. It's actually good to come off a weekend where we didn't play, and I'm not angry. So,
yeah, the anger probably subsided for a lot of us with that week off. It could have, been real bad had we had one that following week. But apologies first and foremost if I cough and sound a bit off. I've been crook since Monday last week, but I'll do my best to push through. So thank you to everyone for tuning in as well. Much appreciated. Hope you all had an enjoyable week off. We've got Damien saying stop harassing Dwayne Russell on the radio, Tiggs.
Yeah. But can't help it, mate. When I'm driving to a client, I've got to correct it, fly the flag. But he agreed with me. Look, I reckon my calls are common sense. So
before we get stuck into it, I do want to read out a message from CB, and we don't often have read out messages or serious messages and whatnot, but I will read it, so I'm going to have my phone in front of me. CB has unfortunately decided to step away from the show for maybe forever, maybe a little while. It's kind of going to be up to his discretion, but he sent me a text to read this out on his behalf. Hi all, I'd first like to thank Michaels for inviting me onto the show a few years ago. It's been a wonderful experience, but as of now, I find I just can't stand the game in its current state. I find it hard to watch and understand. And the respect I have for you, the viewers, and what makes the show great, in brackets, the passion, I just can't do it right now. I'd rather not do it than dial in. I will still support the show and the Tigers, but from a little afar. As for the rest of the comp and the game at the national level, what it has become under the current admin, I will no longer invest time or energy into. It has jumped the shark. So thank you all for your support over the years. Keep it going. It's a wonderful show, and we love you all. Captain Blood 17 signing off. So, look, he hasn't put a line through it altogether. I do have to call and speak to him about that. I've been sick and busy, but CB knows he's welcome back on at any time. So, CB, you do what you've got to do, and hopefully you find the love for the game again soon. Totally get the angle you're coming from with the state of the game, which I'm sure the three of us will touch on in due course over the next hour or so. But yeah, CB, we're always here for you, and more than welcome to jump back on at any time. So I would read that out before we got stuck into it. So
you'll be back by finals. You watch by finals. Yeah. When we make the finals, you'll buy in, and it'll be all fucking bloodbath. Look, I love how he gave you acknowledgement and just fucked me. No, I'm 2071, your brother of another mother. No, only kidding, CB. You got to do what makes you happy, brother. So we're always here for you.
Yeah, exactly right. So make sure we show some love for CB in the chat. I'm sure he'll be watching at some stage. You can even sledge him as well as you want, whatever takes your fancy. But yeah, before we get stuck into it, make sure you do like the feed you're watching, or share it, retweet it, whatever you've got to do just to help us get in the faces of all the Richmond folk out there. As Tig said, we will do a bit of a mid-season review, the good, bad, and the ugly, I suppose, boys. It's been a bit of a mixed bag to the start of the season, Tigs. What have you made of the season thus far? Like, I've kept this pretty open just to get, gauge your guys' thoughts and opinions. We can ask questions and answer questions and get on with it.
Well, it's been, how can I say it this way? It's like getting served your favourite dinner. This is the first half of the season for me. I'm taking the umpiring completely away from it. But It's like getting served your favourite, whatever your favourite meal is, and it's warm. It's not hot. It's fucking warm. And that's how I sort of see that, it's a good meal. There's good bits in it. But one biggest thing for me, I don't think in any game we've hit our straps for a full 4 quarters. So we haven't played a full 4 quarters the whole entire beginning of the season. So I found it this half frustrating. There's been a lot of good things which we'll highlight. There's been some negative things which we'll highlight as well. But I still think we've got plenty in attack to really, if we can nail out a few of the things that we'll sort of highlight tonight. We've proven it all for the 10 or so weeks that if we get those little things wrong, we're going to go straight up to, we'll probably finish top 4, considering how our end of our draw is and the amount of wins we should get if we continue doing what we're doing now, but, fix some areas we need to address. So overall happy. We were smashed with injuries, but, sort of happy like you got a kiss from your auntie, that you haven't seen for 2 years, Happy she's here, but, hey, what's on the TV? So we've got to improve.
What would you grade it in the old school A, B, C type method? What would you grade it?
Okay. I would say it's a B-.
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 Yeah, fair enough. That's fair enough. EJ, what's your take been on the season thus far?
Oh, I'm probably a C-. But I think we've only got ourselves to blame. We really should be 2 or 3 games better off and be in the 4 or on the cusp of the 4. And we do have a pretty reasonable draw coming home. These next 3 weeks are massive for us. If we can knock the next 3 weeks off, I think we're in a really, really good position. But if we miss the top 4, if we play well in the second half of the season and we miss the top 4, it's our fault. And that is the frustrating thing because, like Tiggs was saying, it's almost there. But you can see all the pieces there. If you're going to take a meal analogy and say not about the temperature, but it's like you've got all the ingredients and you've kind of made the recipe, but you haven't followed it 100%. So just a few tweaks here and there, a little bit of extra salt, maybe a dollop of tomato sauce for that sweetness and the extra tang. We are that close to actually going well, but it also does hinge on a couple of people keeping the band-aids on them and keeping them together and in one piece for the second half of the season.
It's fair enough. So it was C+, was it?
C-.
C-.
Yeah, we've really let a couple of big opportunities slip. So,
and I'd like to hear from our viewers as well what your grading would be, in the old school sort of A, B, C format. I kind of think a C+ to a B is where it's at. The killers for me are those, was it 4 30-point leads that we've blown?
Yeah.
That's should be 16 points in the bag right there. And a lot of those against teams that are above us, which potentially, hops us above them into a much more nicer looking spot on the ladder than sitting 10th. But
and
6 and 5.
That means we'd have been on 10 wins. All right, let's be conservative. There's 3 games that we really pissed the beds in, right? That we should have won. There was even statistically, we should have won the game. And what killed us was 50 metres and goals scored. So, I picked the first game of the year, 9 50s. We kept their forward line to 1 goal, but they got 6 goals from forward 50-metre kicks, 50-metre free kicks. So we'd be on 9 wins. It's a completely different complexion with the injuries we've had. That sort of shows me that, we clean up a few things. If we stop giving away 50s for the rest of the year and we become a better side, with the stuff EJ's going to talk about, we automatically become a top 4 side. That's how I see it. That's how dramatic change will be.
Is it like the 4 losses though, 30 points? It shouldn't happen. It's been happening late in games, EJ. Is it a mental thing to fall into that same trap? Is it just more credit due to the opposition? Because, I know people can argue that we're sitting on the same kind of ratio that we were in 2017, and we know how that turned out, and that's great. Yeah. But, we could have been well and truly cemented into the top 4 had we won the games and converted the ones we were winning. It's not like we were close and should have won. We were smashing them. and couldn't finish.
Yeah. Look, I think it's. I think, like, and I saw Nick's comment, and I know we're going to talk about it a bit. I think discipline is a major issue. We have let other teams back into games with poor discipline, and also they seem to be able to get on runs, and we are not able to stop the runs. Since 2017, we haven't really had periods where teams have just gone on 4, 5, 6 goal runs, and it just seems to be happening on a regular basis. And I think that has a lot to do with early, at certain stages, players not being 100% match fit, players coming back off injury, missing key cogs like Lambert and Presti and things like that. There's a lot of reasons, but at the root of it all is discipline. And is that mentally being soft and not on edge? Maybe. There are some other factors that I've written down which suggest that maybe we are 5% off.
And Tiggs, who have been some of your more likeable performers for us over this first half of the year in terms of individual player efforts?
Can I talk about a couple of statistical points about the team as overall, and then we can lead into the individuals? All right. Everyone on this chat, and get chat involved, you would all think Carlton's having a great year. Where are they at the moment? They're fourth on the ladder or whatever they are. So everyone reckons Carlton's had a really good year? And you would think, looking at it, Carlton's won more quarters than Richmond?
No.
But would you think, based on where they are on the ladder, that they, or if we don't, let's not put Carlton, let's pick Geelong. Yeah. Do you reckon Geelong's won more quarters than Richmond, particularly with their home court? No. So this is a bit of the facts, right? Richmond, first quarters, 64%. This is quarter-by-quarter performance, right? So first quarter, 64%, but we're a good starting team now, but we're not the best at it. 82% second quarter team, 73% three-quarter team, but our last quarters is 45%. That last quarter is killing us. So even though, and we'll pick Carlton here, 64 first quarter, 64 second, 27 third, 45 fourth. If we go Fremantle, 68, 45, 55, and then they come home strong at 73. So what I see in our side is that our KPIs are top four. Even Damien Hardwick said it. Our KPIs as a side, from forward half turnover, scoring efficiency inside 50, the ability in kickings, we lead the league, which used to be an Achilles heel for us. So it's the evolution of our game plan, transitioning from defensive 50 to forward half. We've become a lot more offensive in our defence, if that makes any sense. We're number one in the league. Defending the turnover were atrocious at the start of the year, and we've really improved on that to a top four level. But again, then we break down at that last quarter, and there's obviously a lot of major issues into that with the discipline, as you mentioned, EJ. The ability, what's killing us at the moment is the amount of 50s our defence is conceding. That's the biggest thing for me. Our defenders concede, on average, 30% more free kicks than any other defensive line in the league. Period. Hands down. Now, is it all because they're ill-disciplined? That's a debate for another day. But that's the reality is the umpires umpiring our defensive 50, so the opposition forward line, are a lot more proactive to ping our guys, not give our guys the benefit of the doubt. So individuals, for me, that are standout, Gibcus, Baker, clearly stand out to me. Those two in particular. If I say a top three, I'll put the third person in it because I'm so happy that he's in the side and he's playing consistent football now, and he's only going to get better for me is Prestia. As soon as he came back in the side, we started winning again. And our losses were a lot more, even though we've had some disappointing losses, we need him. We need him firing for the rest of the year. But my top three would be those three boys.
EJ, what about you from an individual standpoint? Who's really sort of taken your fancy for the first half of the year? Who have you been impressed with? And same for everyone else in the chat. Feel free to drop some names in there who you've really loved watching in this first half of the year.
I'm certainly not going to give his name again because I think every time I come on, I wax on about him.
Oh, that's all right. Hey, he's given us reason to. It's all fair play.
And I still can't believe he hasn't been nominated. It's ridiculous. Look, Rioli is having some year. I don't think at the start of the year, if you had said that Rioli would be putting up the meters gained that he has, he's easily in our top 5 on averages. He's in our effective disposals top 5s. He has been fantastic. What's his name? The Basher leaving doesn't mean a thing. I think, Rioli's more effective. Shea is having a great season. And although there's an area which I really get frustrated with him, Nankervis has been superb, and we certainly looked a lot better when Vlossen came back in. So in addition to the players that Tiggs mentioned, they'd be the other ones. And did you say Tom Lynch?
No, I didn't. But he's
also until he got injured, Tom Lynch was superb.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of those names. And the other names coming up in the chat is Jaden Short. Obviously, his move to the middle had a profound impact on the side. Not that he was struggling down back. He wasn't. We just needed to find another dimension ourselves in the middle with someone who can find the ball and also work hard defensively. And Shorty's given us that while still keeping his meters gained through the roof. So I don't think we've really lost much there, especially with how good Rioli's playing, to your point, EJ. But yeah, having Vlost and Brody, just that solid-looking back line kind of allows Short to play that role, and Baker as well. So Baker's, had another sensational start to the year. I think he has to settle down back now, fellas. I don't think we can mess around too much more putting him forward, unless it's one of those games where you've got to just try something really random to get something going your way. But yeah, he's had a super year. And Nick, I agree with this wholeheartedly. Pickett, the games he played at the start, when we were probably firing a bit below par, he was by far and away our best player, and kept us in games, won us games. He did the lot. So yeah, the more games he plays for us, the better he kept looking.
And it sounds like he's not 100% for this weekend. With Pickett, we go back. Okay, I want to talk about good discipline now. We are a bad side for discipline, but good discipline, our two wingers, K-Mac and Pickett, really keep the shape and keep their position. They keep their width. Our structure is so much better when they're both playing.
Yeah, I agree with
that. And just on Jaden Short, he's been superb. Number 1 AFL for kicks, number 1 AFL for meters gained. Still.
That's credit to him for adapting like that. So, and I completely agree about the structure of our wings as well. They're almost underrated. McIntosh probably in particular, the job he does and how well he holds the shape of the ground and how much ground he covers to defend switches and, quick transfers of ball movement and things like that.
I know it's an overused phrase, but if I was putting magnets on the board, they would be close to the first ones that I'd put on, because we look so much better when they are the wingers.
Yeah. Yeah. And as much as, love Jack Ross and he's improved the last few weeks, he's not the answer on the wing when those two guys aren't available.
Shouldn't be a winger,
Ralph Smith might be the answer. He could be a potential answer, Ralph Smith. But we look 100% better with K-Mac and Pickett on the wing.
It was funny. I had a chat with a good mate of mine that works in footy, and and we talked, and I said to him, I was going on about the umpires and our discipline as well, and he goes, Mick, you're probably 50% right. He said, but the reason you guys are getting scored against, and he said you're actually handling a lot better than most clubs. We've got David Teague in our list, right? Coaching group. He's teaching the boys a different method of how to move the ball, right? That's how he got brought onto offensive ball movement. Our offensive ball movement is transitioning from where? Which line does most of our attacks come from? So back up. Yeah. So generally when teams change their game plan or go a next level up on their game plan, there's always a transitional period, and it's always the first half of the year. And my ears perked up when hearing it was telling me, Michael, it's how you guys are transitioning the ball from defensive to forward line. It's working. That's why you're persisting with it, because you're scoring a lot more. You're actually breaking other defenses down. Your ill discipline's a layer of that, which is hurting you, particularly on where those free kicks are being paid. It always seems to be in your back half. But he said once you get the pattern right and it becomes instinctual, you watch you guys concede a lot less scores. And it's sort of been proved on that because our scores against has reduced, even though we've even had a bit of runs, like even in Sydney. The scores against, we were getting blown out. Now it's tending to reduce. And Dimmer mentioned this week that they spent all by working on their back end in relation to, transitioning the ball from defence to forward line to minimise that part of our game. So I'm pretty bullish. Even it really bodes well for us, particularly for next year. Once we get this hammered out, it gets me pretty excited, particularly with the personnel that we have and the personnel that obviously we might lose, but opportunities that brings. But yeah, for me, my second, other than the free kicks, my second glaring hope is that we fix our transition from the back to the forward line, because that's how we're getting caught out. There's so often that the midfield's left open because a player's learning where he should be going is not there. And yeah, that's not been un-Richmond-like. Our guys have been, they knew, you always kick to the right or the left pocket deep, then you do another extended kick, and then you move it into that's how we've always done it for 4 years. They're trying to change a bit of difference in how we transition a forward. It's off turnover, by the way. It's not off set plays. It's off turnover. So when the ball's intercepted in our back half, how to transition the ball out. We're doing it a bit differently now. A lot more direct, and we're getting exposed at the back end.
We look good, though, when we get it moving forward like that. But, yeah, it's just working at the defensive mechanism to make sure that we don't get hurt the other way. But
exactly,
you can see it's getting better. It's just stopping that bloody run of goals.
Yeah.
Now, EJ, the discipline,
right,
or the lack thereof, where did you want to go with this one?
Just some of the for and against for some of our key players for free kicks. So what Tig said before is exactly right. We give away professional free kicks, no doubt, but we also give away stupid free kicks, and we don't probably get what we deserve fully. We're probably only 20 or 30 free kicks away from being in the bottom rungs of getting our fair share, but park that. Shea Bolton, free kick differential, minus 14. 6 free kicks for, 20 free kicks against. Now, some of those are the 50-metre penalties, and they're completely avoidable, right? Playing on after the whistle is blown, we've had 2 50 metres or 3 50 metres against him in the last 4 weeks. He had the decision go against him, and he places the ball on the ground and then stands up for mark. You have to give the ball back. That is a free kick that we can control. That's a 50 metres that we can control through our behaviour. That's not on the umpires. That's not on anyone but us. That's our fault. Lynch, we know he doesn't get a fair go. 12 free kicks for, 20 free kicks against. Again, he gets frustrated, gives away dumb free kicks. Now, Curvis, I don't mind this one, but it's a lot of free kicks against. 19 for, 33 against. The next worst in our team is 20. Nank is 33 against. That's just too undisciplined. That's too many. Marlon, 6 for, 14 against, and he's only played half the games. 14 free kicks in half the amount of games of some other people. Grimes has been guilty of giving away the free kick we say has cost us games in the last few minutes.
It's been crucial moments, hasn't it?
They're just dumb free kicks. They are completely. They're not. Oh, my tackle slipped high. They're just blatant dumb acts. And if we can cut those stupid free kicks out, we'll be miles better off. So the for and against, yes, it's bad, but at the top end, you look at who it is, and I can point out situations for every player. It's just avoidable dumb shit. And it is pissing me off.
And I suppose the beauty of it, EJ, if there is such a thing, is that, like you said, it's something that we have full control over. So they can stop doing that at any given moment, and then we stop gifting 3, 4, 5 goals, whatever it is, a game. And it's not necessarily, the 1 or 2, 3 goals a game we give. It's the momentum that then leads to, and the dropping of the heads from our players, and it kind of just all compounds, and then it turns into a 30-point turnaround all of a sudden. So it's the timing of them. It's, you don't mind flying the flag, doing it in the right instances. But you're right. There's a lot that we can control, or that the players can control, that are going to substantially make a huge difference.
Yeah.
What's particularly hurt us too is where those dumb acts occurred. I think I've never seen a season where we consistently do those dumb acts attacking side for the opposition. So they're either at advantage, so they can get it really deep inside 50, or it's inside the 50-metre line. And they generally convert from it or get into scoring change from it. There were so many times I've looked, all right, what's that free kick? When I've tweeted during the game, as I do, as soon as that free kick's given away, you're going to score a goal, because it's opened up the whole play. And we've got to seriously fix that up. But the improvement I see, the positive out of that, if we do fix that up, we're going to be a frightful side. We're going on really bad on how other teams are scoring against us. There's not much about how many run-ons we're getting against sides now. We can kick 4 or 5 goal bursts and not do it just once, but do it multiple times during the game. And our defence, when it's not being stupid, when we have our proper defensive line, which does not include Tarrant, in my opinion, which is your Gibcus, your Bolter are both in the same back line together, with Grimes and the like. It's pretty good. The one game, it's a loss, and it was a bad loss because we didn't have a midfield in, was against Melbourne. If you watch that game again and just watch our defensive mechanisms in play, people say, Melbourne missed a heap of goals that game. Yeah, they did. And why? Because of the defensive intent.
Yeah,
particularly by the back. Yeah, we spread them wide. We closed space. Each player knew where to run to force, because we were losing the midfield battle. We got absolutely smashed. And the ball was it's basically, we said to the best team in the competition for this year, all right, come at us. We're not going to play in midfield. Just come at us and try to score as much as you can. And they were only on 33 points. I think it was close towards half time before they had the damn wall broke a bit, and then we repaired it. So if we can keep that defensive line together, Bolter comes back in this week. Gibcus will grow another leg. Tarrant, mate, after the Sydney game, I'm sorry, Tarrant, play the VFL till you learn the system, son. Because you're a 200-game defender, and no 200-game defender goes to punch a ball who could easily mark it, but then misses the ball, and the ball goes behind him, and then they score a goal. And you do that in the last quarter.
That was about
right? So I had to talk about that. I wasn't on last week's show. That fucking still bothers me. That, for me, is a mental lapse in concentration from a veteran. Nah, won't have it. So hopefully he gets in the VFL and he stays in the VFL till he knows and understands how our midfield moves the ball and how our backlines thing. So, look, I'm very bullish, mate. Our forward line's in sync with the opportunities we get. The data backs that up. Our backline can minimise scores when it's working well. When it's together, the full complements together. Just keep them healthy, and I reckon we'll be top 4. I'm really bullish on it. Really bullish on it.
The concern for me is I think Lynch is potentially missing this week again, which he is missing this week.
Yep.
So that's
confirmed that.
He's confirmed. So that hurts. And then the importance of
benefit. I think it's a benefit. They're not going to. You're talking about Lynch missing, yeah? That's a benefit, mate. And they've got to have to understand how that's like we caught Sydney a bit off guard. All right, we played stupid with Rewalt, but if we learnt from the Sydney game, and
it's only going to be beneficial if we can work it to our advantage. But the way we play favours teams who've got good intercept defenders to chop it off. And the other one is the importance of Kane Lambert can't be understated as well. So I'm not sure how many more games he might miss.
He's playing.
He's a good chance for this week.
He's a good chance. So the bye probably came at a pretty good time for him to freshen up, because he and Prestia and Vlosten, like you gentlemen have mentioned, they are absolutely vital. But getting Bolter back this week is definitely going to be a big plus, which we'll talk about during the Port game, but it's going to be interesting to see the lineup mixture. Obviously, Gibcus did a little small stint down forward in the Swans game. Then you got Bolter back in the side. So is there flex to swing one of them up there at different stages?
I reckon Soldo, just plonk him on the goal square. He's going to be our Cox for the game. So if you want to go that deep high ball, we've got Soldo there. And just make sure when the ball does go in high, we've got the Crummers on. I hope Noah Cumberland gets a game. I know he was a medical sub. Did the VFL have a bye? They normally mirror the senior side, or did they play?
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I haven't watched much footy.
I hope he gets a game. I hope we need him. Get him and Morris Rioli. George, 2 handballs. Sorry, son. Hopefully he gets dropped. So Noah comes in. Yeah. And then we've got the tools to do it. Like, I don't want us to change. I don't want us to put Bolter forward. I want us to go, okay, it's the new start of the new year. The season's finished. This is the new season. We're basically one game behind everybody else. Let's start catching it. And play that way. So keep our back line as it is and just makes you forward. Look, the Port defenders aren't great. Put someone on Elia, put a tag on him. Houston's a spud. Who else have they got? They've got a lot of potatoes at Port in their back half.
A lot of potatoes.
They've got potatoes. They've got good, I reckon, a pretty good forward line, good half forwards, good hybrid midfielders, but they've got potatoes in that back line.
Did we have any, because we may just keep rolling into the Port game, was there anything else anyone needed to add on the review?
Yep.
All right, we'll do that first.
All right, so I reckon we're in an okay position. We've never been a strong clearance side, but at the moment for the season, we're 16th. If we can get that up to 12th, 10th in the comp with our turnover game added onto it, we'll be fine. And we have come from sort of we add Lambert and Prestia back in, and that will improve. We're second for quarters won, we're second for points scored. So the attack's not the issue, right? Along with discipline, tackles. We need to increase the number and the ferocity of our efforts when it comes to tackles. We are poor. We are number 17 in the league for tackles per game. All right. I'm going to read out our top 5 players for tackles by average. Graham, 4.5. Nank, 4.3. Your Ruckman's your second highest average tackler. Come on. Lambert, 3, and he's only played a handful of games. Prestia, 2.9, same thing. And 2.8 for the 5th-ranked player whose name I can't bloody read with I've written. It might even be Dusty. All right. That is, if you add up the averages for those 5 players, that equates to 17.5 tackles for the side for the game on average. All right. Who are the teams that we aspire to be? Give me a name of a team.
Richmond of 2020, 2019.
No. Of the
that's your
Melbourne.
Melbourne.
5.5, 4.6, 4.3, 3.6, 3.3. They're 22.3 tackles out of their top 5. That's 5 better. That's the worst of the other teams that I've written down.
What's Fremantle out of interest?
Very good. 6, 5.7, 4.8, 4.7, 4. We've got 2 players averaging 4 tackles a game or more, and their top 5 all do, right? Now, here's a side for you. I want to read this side out, particularly. 6.1, 5.4, 4.7, 4.3, 4.3 for a total of your top 5 players of 24.8 tackles a game versus our 17.5 per game. Who do you think that is?
I'm going to say it's Carlton.
I was going to say Port.
No. Sorry?
You're going to say Port Adelaide?
No.
Top 8 team?
No. Which side's been smashed by the media?
Oh, Gold Coast. Sure.
No. West Coast. That's
really?
West Coast top 5 tackling numbers. They are putting us to shame. We keep talking about how we used to be a good hunting side. Our numbers aren't backing it up. Our pressure points are okay. We need to hunt.
They don't have the footy a lot, though.
Okay, Brisbane, 5.8, 5.5, 4.9, 3.9.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what way you cut it up. Our numbers are shithouse compared to everyone else's on any level.
Yeah.
Yep, St Kilda are the benchmark at the moment, right? They are hunting. Their top 5 come up to 26.3. That's 9 tackles out of their top 5 players per game on average more. We need to hunt harder for longer.
I feel like as well that the tackle stat averages would have been well down on the first half of the year. I don't know if it was the Sydney game or the one before, but one of the games recently we had 72 tackles, which was a lot higher in recent times. I think ever since when we said it on the show.
Okay, so imagine what the averages have been like without that game.
Yeah. I know. So the trend started to change a little bit in the last few weeks since Reality Junior and Stack played their game together. But the start of the year was appalling. We were struggling to get over 30 tackles a game.
Yeah. And what sort of dilutes that stat? That's why tackle counts. It's noticeable. It's important, but they don't include broken tackles and they don't include tackles that have caused a free kick. Right? So if I tackle you correctly and knock you to the ground, the ball spills, and the umpire goes, "Oh, Richmond, I think your pubic hair accidentally brushed the top of his chin, free kick against," that tackle's not included, right? And Richmond gets pinged, tackle after tackle. So I give them a bit of latitude for that. For me, it's post clearance. That's my stat, right? That tells me if we're healthy or not. If any of the listeners don't understand what post clearance means, is we don't win the ball at centre clearance, but we win the next ball back.
Yeah, it's a second possession. Yeah.
Yeah, we're winning. We're winning. We're getting back to our premiership level again. It was really poor. The first 4 or 5 weeks we didn't have a midfield, but every week we're getting back up. And I think I didn't check it for this show, but last week, before the Sydney game, we were still top 4. I think top 3 in that stat. So, and that's and so that's really pleasing. And that for me is our one wood, is the ability to create that turnover at the back half, or that, if the ball's I was getting towards our 50 and then launching an attack. What's killed us though is before we launch an attack and be able to be safe behind the ball, our behind the ball coverage has been poor. But hopefully it's the new transition of movement. We get better at that as obviously we've done a lot of training on it. We get better at it again with personnel. We start to really improve.
Yeah, like Nick is right. The Bulldogs game, we smashed them. Yeah, there it is again, right? Nick's right. And when it comes to us in our greater years, when it came to finals, because we would not win contested ball or whatever, or the tackling stats, and it came to finals and we would elevate those parts of the game. I'm not saying we have to be number 1 in the league for that stat, but where we are right now is just damning. And it might be building.
Mid-table would be more than helpful.
That's all we need, because if you have that as a mid-table measure, and then you are top of the table for your post-clearance work, well, then you're done. You're set.
Yeah, that's spot on.
You just can't be that poor at that.
It's just level. It just needs to be an incremental increase to complement the rest of the game.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, before we get stuck into the Port Adelaide game, I think we do need to officially welcome Jacob Bauer to the club, who we took in the mid-season draft, a key forward, 24. Surely he wears 24. For those who don't get the TV reference, go and watch the TV series 24. Very good. But I think there was a lot of people watching that draft very nervously, anticipating a halfback or a small, as per the traditional Richmond pickings. But a big forward, Tiggs, it's one we've been crying out for. I don't know whether he'll play straight away, but I think he's on a 16 or 18-month contract, which is a good sign for him and us. But he definitely feels the need short-term and long-term.
Yeah, look, he's a couple of things with him, what I like about him, the couple of traits that I really like. People are underestimating grossly how long a kick this boy is, right? You see him kick, there was a couple on his highlight package, and they can be deceptive, but he can kick the ball. You look at one of his kicks he did at 60 metres, and he's pulling the kick when he did it. And it was a drop punt. So this guy can roost the football, but accurately. What I like about him, though, his biggest trait that I'm so excited about, outside of his marking, he's a one-clunk marker. He's old school. He reminds me of if Caddy was taller, because Caddy's marking was completely underrated, right? If Caddy was taller, actually, who he reminds me of? That's what my mate said. And who he remembers? Aaron Edwards.
Yeah.
Remember Aaron Edwards? He's a taller, more mobile version of Aaron Edwards, and hopefully gets more possession of the ball. He plays like a half forward. When he's in the sink, he will dodge, weave, he's agile, but he's a great mark like Aaron Edwards was, and Aaron Edwards never missed. Generally, if he was in front, the ball always went the straight line. But the best part I love about him, this is what the best part. And Tommy, if you're watching, please look at this guy when he's training beside you. He plays in front of his defender. It's just a natural trait he has. Doesn't play behind him. Doesn't play to the side of his defender. He plays in front, always in front, because he knows he will get to the highest point, and then the only way the defender can get over him is most likely an arm chock or a free kick. And he knows he's not in jail with that. His weakness, why he didn't get drafted, was he's slow at the first 10 steps, right? The first 10 steps, I'm not saying he's slow, but defenders can get it on him. That's why he plays forward with them. So he's learned to read the play before them. So I'm really bullish about this kid. He's got a good frame on him. He's going to gain. I'll see him. His ideal playing rate with us will be in the, kilos would be, high 80s, low 90s or mid 90s. You'll get to that size. He's got that sort of frame. But yeah, he's a great mark, great kick, and he plays in front.
What I liked about him, EJ, was probably more on the mental side of things, that he was prepared to up and move to South Australia to do this, to get himself on an AFL list. So he knew that he had to make a big change in his life, and a risky one at that. There's no guarantees in life with footy. But he made that decision to go, and it's now paid off for him.
Yeah, and it shows you there's a lot of people that are coasting through their football career that have the talent and don't really work. Well, they work, but they're not that extra 5%. And if you've got someone willing to go to the efforts and the lengths to get to where they are, that's why a lot of dour defender types make good coaches, because they've worked and scrapped for everything that they've ever got.
Yeah.
And his first interview with the club, it really sounds like he's just going to take this opportunity. If he doesn't make it, it won't be through his lack of effort. Also, a special shout out to the Richmond social media team for their.
I was going to do the same thing. That was some of the best work through their 24-hour pace. Very, very good.
But how was the responses from some salty fucking, I don't know if it's West Coast or whatever? Oh, if it was 24 hours, it'd mean it'd be 1 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? They started the clock at the wrong time.
No, it was quality. It was quality. It also adds a bit more, excitement to the VFL team as well. We've gone from not having a real key target to having Bauer and or Mateer. I'm going to say, is it Mateer?
Mate Colina.
Yeah, so we're going to have two big bodies down there, maybe not necessarily at the same time, but that's going to help out Samson Ryan.
You know what I like about the kid too? Character. He's in front of his coach and his teammates. He's just come off the plane and they're having dinner, and they asked him, what team do you support? And he said, look, I still support Sydney. Which is realistic. You don't jump off. He's playing in Swans colours just a couple of days before. He's just come to the club. A weaker character say, I'm a Richmond man because he's with Richmond. No, he just says how he feels. That for me shows he's got integrity.
After they've just beaten us too. Fair play to him.
I reckon once he puts that jumper on and gets handed by a legend, let's say Matty Richo or someone gives him his jumper and he kicks his first Richmond goal, then he become a Tiger.
I don't mind the answer whatsoever. I'm completely fine with that. Anyone who thinks the players who rock up support the club straight away is, I've got a unicorn I can sell you. He's a good-looking prospect, so all the best to young Jacob, and we'll be watching the VFL with keen interest. All right, we've got Port Adelaide this week, gents. A huge game in the context of the season, as we spoke about earlier. So we're 4 points outside the 8, but we've got the game in hand. We've also got percentage on 8th spot. So a win here would see us jump back in. But Thursday night, fellas, at the G in what's going to be bitterly cold conditions, EJ, can't ask for anything better, can we?
Yes, we can ask for a lot better. Look, as I said before, this next 3 weeks really is our season. I mean, we are now playing the teams that are around or just above us. Port are just below us. Carlton and Geelong are just above us. Then we get the free swing for percentage against West Coast after that over here. So, let's not undersell this. It is a massive game.
Huge game.
Where's it going to be won and lost, Tiggs? What do we have to do to get our mojo back? The bye can be a little bit of a funny one coming off the bye. Sort of, thankfully, they're coming off it too, so we're all both in the same boat. But how do we hit the ground running?
Well, look, the thing with them, their midfield, it's starting to get it back their spread for the midfield from the first possession, but they still haven't improved the ability to defend a run on, and also their backline leaks. Yeah, I see us where we can get on top is our counter attack. I don't know, they've got injuries throughout the side, they're playing hurt, but their ability to cover the ground and defend wears off during games. That's why they get scored against. And similar to us, funny enough, at the last quarters, they tend to bleed. So if we can keep pace on this game, if we can keep the pace and keep the ball moving, keep it picking around, we'll beat them quite comfortably. But it is, that old proverbial 8-point game. This is it, because if we can get, it's like EJ said, if we get this, kicks the Pies out of the 8, which is a shocking result, but hey, at least the Tigers are in. And then we go, and then we and you watch the Twitter hate. I'll cop, mate. I'll cop it now. Especially TT, he'll fucking give it to me. And then we play West Coast for another buffering percentage, which is another win, which will get us into the, hopefully get up to Sydney's level and jump over the top of them. So, it's big 4 weeks, lads. Big 4 weeks. I'm up for it.
Yeah, I don't share Tiggs's assessment of the Port Adelaide backline as being a bunch of spuds. I actually think it's
two of them are good. The rest are potatoes.
I'll read them out for you, EJ. We've got Tom Jonas, Tom Cleary, Aliir, Ryan Burton, Dan Houston, and the All-Australian over Nick Floston, Darcy Byrne-Jones.
Yeah, so Houston, I reckon it's a pretty solid backline. But
Houston and Aliir, good. The rest potatoes.
No, I disagree. But this is where I think that maybe an advantage for us is it's quite a big back line. Cleary and Jonas, they're lumbery sort of types, right? And if Lynch is out, we're probably going to be a lot more mobile and a bit more agile. And I think that is where forward, if we play it smart by not, bomb, if we either hit it up or even if we play dirty ball, then I think that turns in our favour. So I certainly don't think they're spuds, not at all. But I think we do have the opportunity to set up an advantage in the forward half by playing small ball.
What scares me with that, EJ, though, is the way we play. We're more probable to play into their hands because of the constant bombing in that we do. And they're going to maybe not necessarily mark it if it's shit conditions, but we're not going to give ourselves half a chance. If we don't play those lower the eye passes, Aliir's going to have a field day.
I think that Port have got a good contested midfield, but I don't think they've got a very dynamic midfield. And I think that that's where we can, as Tiggs was saying, if we can create speed on the ball and the entries are faster, right, there's not much they can do about it. Quick entry is the best entry. Like not the bombing quick, but if we're moving forward at speed, like we've actually developed some pretty good chains over the last couple of months. Someone wanted me to cheer up. Here's some cheer up, right? We've actually made some really good movement through, right? And when we do that and cut the middle up, the defence hasn't got the time to get set. And then being the smaller, more agile forward line, I think we can really hurt them.
Got a question for you, both of you boys, and then I'll give my thoughts. Castagna. See, in my opinion, this isn't ideal for his aerial game if we're going small to actually, be a good weapon for us. But does that outweigh his benefit to the side? And I'm talking about immediate form. This is not a slag on him as a bloke or as an overall player. This is you basing it in on form. Do we ignore the Sydney game or do we throw – and the Sydney game was the end point of probably 2-3 weeks, probably one good game. And I rate him pretty highly. That's why I'm saying one good game, not 2.5 to his normal standards. Where do you see him? Do you see him deserving of a spot?
Jason Castagna is the K-Mac of the forward line, right? He mightn't look effective and all that sort of stuff, but and it's hard to watch him try and pick up a ball sometimes because I called him hands of stone for years. And he sometimes turns and just runs the opposite way to you think he's going to run, and you're thinking, mate, everything's set up. What are you doing? But his structure and his chase and all that sort of stuff, I know that you can't have everyone getting no stats, but I believe that setup-wise, he lets other players do what they do.
The question is, though, is there someone else who can do those same pressure acts but also find the ball and kick a goal? Because 2 disposals in a game is isolated maybe, But are you better off having a Hugo Rubsmith who's got some wheels down there, or a Cumberland who can apply maybe similar pressure? Even Stacky applied pressure, but are we robbing ourselves a little bit by being one forward short when it comes? Like, no one's going to man up on him offensively because he's not hurting anyone on the scoreboard. Like, I know he's work up the ground, he works his ass off, absolute workhorse, but there needs to come a point, same as with Higgins and Butler, there has to come a point where you've got to be damaging on the scoreboard as well, or just impactful possessions. Like Rioli Jr. doesn't get it 20 times, but the 8 times he gets it, something happens, and he's dangerous. Even Judson Clark, that's another good call. He could come in and do something similar too.
What they need to do is they need to train someone in the VFL specifically for that position if they want to replace him.
It's not a traditional small role. It's definitely a specialised.
Yeah. It's a disciplined role that he plays. That I agree. Like he's had a lot of poor games, but structurally he does what he's supposed to do. So if they've been playing someone, remember when Caddy went back to the VFL and learned a role and came back? If they've got someone learning the role, I'm happy for him to be replaced if that next person is ready.
Man, so that's a good call. He did it in the VFL I watched the other week.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
okay, well, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, stole my thunder. Yeah, stole my thunder a bit, right? See, the thing is, so great thing on Mansell. What I was really pleased on the Sydney game, we found our Lambert replacement. Do you know who our Lambert replacement was? It's masterful coaching. It literally, we played like Lambert was in the side. The quality of football we played for 75% of the game. They now got Jack Graham is now the Lambert replacement, the way that he played. He basically played the Lambert role. Defensive, high forward, mid, but he going forward like Lambert would do. He kicked 2 goals from it. His tackle pressure was high. His ability to release the ball so he transitioned up and also clamped down defensive acts was brilliant. So I see an opportunity here. I reckon Castagna needs a break. I think he's done a power work in the beginning half of the year and he's just dog tired. It's a big first half of the year for him and his performance is even low for his own standards. I'm sure it's hurting him. Yeah. We've got Mansell, this kid who deserves football. He plays a defensive role in the back half, but in the forward half, he's a defensive machine. He can be trained. He's got a good tank, knows where to run. And his role is not just to score goals, but to create that defensive intent and pressure. And worry, he's also got a clean pair of hands. But we've got Mansell as an option. But what I think really hope we do, Clark or Cumberland, either of those 2 boys. Sometimes when you pick your 6, you pick your forward line, the first thing should be what weapons do they have? Because if you're scoring goals, do you reckon the defender's going to run off and do his own thing? No, he will man you. So that also implies a different form of pressure, which can just be effective as running to space to block space, right? When obviously that's what Castagna's doing because he's been out of form or getting no other possessions. He's just running up to block leading lanes, which is great. But that's what he's doing. But if I'm kicking 4 goals and it's 3/4 time, do you reckon you sit someone on me? So that's why I really think it's now come to a time. Get Mansell in. If we want to go offensive, not defensive in the forward line, if we feel that's what we need more of, then please put Cumberland or Clark in, one of those 2 kids. Give George a spell. Don't even play him in the VFL. Give him a rest.
Just let him freshen up. Yeah, there's options. Look, but, we can sit here and say that. We all know he's going to be one of the first few picked and he'll be playing on Thursday night. But I just think output needs to differ. Like, I get the defensive stuff. I've been a huge fan of his defensive work, but we need to find balance at some point to weaponise scoring more goals. And like you said, Tiggs, if you've got someone else who's dangerous up there, it helps, takes the attention off Lynch and Rewalt, which, causes a few more issues for opposition. But we'll see how we go. All right, we'll talk about some matchups quickly, or who you think might get these matchups more importantly. Todd, I suppose their forward line. We'll go Charlie Dixon, EJ. Is Noah Bolter feels the obvious choice. I know we want Gibcus to have a crack, but I think he's just too big of a man, isn't he?
Yeah, if Bolter plays, he's got to go to Dixon. That just makes sense. Or, you think back to the prelim and stuff like that. He was a mess. It's the right matchup, and that he'll frustrate Dixon too.
Yeah, he will. And does that
and
mean
make him accountable?
would you also then be equally as comfortable for Gibcus to play on Todd Marshall as the second?
Yes.
Every day of the week?
Every day of the week. Every day of the week. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, please. Please.
Yes, please. All right, Gigs. What about the midfield battle? You've got Ollie Wines, Travis Boak, Motlop, Butters, Rosie.
Can you give me Ali, the matchup for Ali, please?
Okay, who's gonna safeguard Ali because he is a very dangerous player.
I've thought about this long and hard, particularly with Bolter. And you know who I'll put on there on the lead? Gibcus. Couple of reasons. He's playing on a good defender, right? So he's going to learn a bit out of an intercepted defender. He's got him for height. He's got him for speed. He's got him for aerial, in going the mark. And I actually think Gibcus is a beautiful kick at goal. It's a beautiful field kick. He's also team first because that's what his defensive traits. It will be a nice change up for him. It'll be a good. We taught him with Buddy, right? You saw how Buddy plays. Now to be out trying to say, okay, you're on Ellie, play a defensive forward role at him. But go
the
for
only downside with that is that would probably then mean that Tarrant stays in to play as the other defensive post down back.
Well, look, outside of Dicko, they've got one other tool. Other than that, they're fairly medium height.
Yeah, so you've got a medium that plays tall. Georgiades plays pretty tall.
Yeah, I get that. Look, that's just an idea. I would love. I'd bring in Miller, but I would put Gibcus. I'd put Gibcus on Ali. I just see them. Their traits are very similar. I want you to beat Ali. Be a defender in our forward line. We want you to bring the ball to ground at every opportunity. We want you to spoil Ali. Mate, I reckon it could work.
Well, he proved he could play forward last week, or the week before, sorry. So it's going to be interesting to see what they go with. I think the weather is going to play a part too with who potentially comes in and out. But midfield wise, we'll get both of your guys' thoughts. So yeah, like I said before, you got Boak, Wines, Motlop, Butters, Rosie, all some of those young kids. EJ pretty fleet-footed. So we got Dusty, Koch, Prestia, Edwards is back into a bit of form. Graham, Shea Bolton. So how do we get on top in this midfield battle? And is there any in particular head-to-head matchups you're looking forward to?
I don't think we have to get on top. I just think we have to sort of break even, roughly. And they're a reasonably strong side. I think Nick put some comments before that specifically for our older guys, Koch and Edwards, etc., they're going a bit where our older guys will probably get more benefit out of the break than a Rosie or something like that. We have got, Prestia and Koch particularly, a couple of banged up old bodies. For them to come in off this game fresh is going to be really important. We don't generally tag, so it's just a matter of the right centre mixes. And I think that I'd like to see Shea attend a high number of centre bounces in this game. I think his movement and his hands and his agility could, because they've got, a lot of one batters like Boak and Wines or whatever. They're tough and they're solid, but they're not fleet of foot. So
Shorty and Bolton need to just run rings around people in there.
Yeah, I mean, how good have we looked when we've burst out the front stoppages? And that has been
exactly right.
So we can burn them if we can basically 50-50 possession. I think our wins will be more effective than their wins.
Yeah. Like for me, there's 3 points in the midfield. First of all, Dusty. People going, he's playing okay, but he's flat. The reason is, I know this is gospel too. He's been doing a mini pre-season while playing, right? Getting condition ready after the bye round. So get ready to see Dusty go. I reckon he's going to have a 30. If he plays mids, he'll have a 28-plus game, kick 3 goals. Watch it. That's my prediction. But with Port mid, Port's dangerous in 2 areas. If we allow Wines to go forward, we need to put a defensive mid on Wines. So I would put someone because he is not that fast, I'd put someone like a short on him. He's not going to get him for strength, but what he will do is if he can contest the ball and spills it, he'll get him on the outside and race the ball the other way, and he can go with him. And also force Wines to man him up, which would be the main thing. Else, he could become a really offensive weapon if we need to. And Boak's the other one. He's their workhorse. You kill off Boak, you kill off that midfield. So I would put on Boak someone like a Martin. I would try to free up or pressure on Boak. I would try to keep Shy Bolton. I agree with you. Play him in the guts. I reckon play Dusty as much in the guts as we can and move him forward when we need to. But try to free up our creative mids so they don't get tagged. Force potatoes like Motlop and others to go with them. Because one thing with Motlop and Gray, they're not accountable players. They play their own game. So, Butters too. We just got to be really careful with Butters too, mate. They're free kicks. He always flops. People talk about minivan at Collingwood. Butters is the worst and gets away with it all the time. Maybe because he plays interstate and it's not really reflected here. But, Butters is the other one. He can be very creative. But we get on top, he goes to water. So it's going to be a cracking game.
And with that, we'll get some predictions quickly, including margin. Feel free to drop your predictions in the chat as well. EJ?
I actually feel pretty good about this game. I think Tigers by about 27 points.
Take that. Tiggs?
Look, it's raining. So for me, because of the weather, depending on how heavy it rains, about 30, 36, 37 our way.
I'll say Tigers by 21. And can I just say how dumb it is to play a Richmond versus Port game on a Thursday night where it was already going to draw a lowish crowd, let alone when it's pissing down rain. Yeah. It's just mind-boggling. Anyway, that's another discussion for another time. But Tiggs, before we wrap up, mate, what little tidbits or teasers can you drop for us, as we will try and do a specific trade show in the near future?
Yeah, give me 2-3 weeks at most, lads and ladies. What did I say?
No, Jasta down the bottom should be closed. Richmond by
125.
All right, I've got a few. Yeah, so give me about 3 weeks. I've got a few things that I'm working on. I just want to make sure I get okays. I know the names and I want to make sure I get the okay before I lead on. But a couple of our players I asked a few questions. From what I'm getting, funny enough, North Melbourne, believe it or not, is really sniffing at Jake Ask and Ross. Believe it or not, they're sniffing pretty hard at him. And I reckon that's going to happen. I don't think Jake Ask is going to get re-signed, and I think Ross needs more opportunity. And look, a lot of these lower clubs will try to take our players for the IP and culture, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I reckon Ross, Sydney Sack, it's a big off-season. It's a big last half of the year for him. He's I've heard a few reports that, anyone that I'll say it. I've heard he knows he's on really, it could go either way. So he's becoming a little bit more aggressive, particularly against the younger kids in his own side. From what I've heard, I asked that, I had someone tell me this. So I did a bit of digging, and he's being a lot more urgent with his footy. He's not being abusive. It's not our culture to do that, but like telling other players off, but he's being a lot more urgent with the football. He knows he's got a big 8-9 weeks ahead of him. We're open to re-sign him and keep him if he can show. But I think it's personal opinion. I think another club will grab him. I think we'll just say, I'm worried it might become another Stengel, but we'll see.
He's got talent for days. He's got
talent for days. It's just a work rate components that real concern. He fades. His work rate consistency within games can get really, really bad. But he's trying. This is the thing. He's definitely having a crack. So if that's enough to save him, I hope so. Because I've got plenty of time, particularly with Shane Edwards going to retire, I reckon, this year from what I heard. He's got the ability to step in a Shane Edwards role. I'm not saying it's like Shane Edwards, but if you know what I mean, he's got that a bit of creative X factor, can do the mercurial, can play mid. So it's got a long way to go to get to Shane Edwards level. But, it's funny. I've 100% heard this. Jack Rewalt will play again. 100%. He'll go year on year till they decide he won't, or he decides he doesn't want to play. But what I've heard all reports is that he will play. I've got a really strong mate, super strong. Riley Caller Dawkins will be in GWS or Sydney next year. You can lock that in. Lock it in. I was bullish last year. I sort of said the Sydney Mail, but they sort of smoothed it over. But yeah, I reckon he's gone to Sydney. He's going north. He's going north. That could be Sydney, Queensland, but yeah, he won't be at Richmond. I heard that.
Did you say that Art's North Melbourne?
North, yeah, Art's north.
I'll pay for the Uber myself.
Yeah, but yeah, Arts. I've heard they've really, obviously they're not going to get Broad. Broad's not going anywhere. Broad's not going anywhere. I did do a prediction about a favourite son, right? So that still might actually happen, and it will all make sense when it happens. I'll let you guys know. I don't want to break the name. I don't want people fucking crying, and if it doesn't happen,
Well, a lot of people thought that was Broad.
It wasn't Broad. No, it's a favourite son. Think about it. It's right in front of your fucking eyes.
I missed that. What did you say?
I said at the beginning of the year, I said it's really likely a favourite son might leave the club.
But it's not Broad, folks. So Broady is good as
It's not Broad.
Interesting.
It's not Bolton.
It hasn't hit me in the face yet, so I'm
it's
still
a favourite son. Yes. Someone got it. Zero. Yeah, fuck it. Rioli. I heard it was Rioli very early on. Yeah, it was Rioli. That's what I heard. Am I saying he's going? No. Do we want to keep him? Yes, but I heard it, particularly with Morris in. But no, Rioli, he's become hard at by a couple of clubs. So, I also heard the Crows have gone out to him pretty aggressively as well. So we'll see. Taranto won't happen with Richmond. Hopper might. Fingers fucking crossed. They've got that squeeze. We want to pull Green. But if we can't pull Green, we are going to get a mid this year in this trade. That's why we went forward. This. We always go for needs in the the mid-season, and then we trade for talent. Got a really strong male, mate. We're getting a mid. We're definitely getting a mid this trade period, and I've got a feeling who it might be, which I'll relate. Yes, I want Randa as well, but Hopper's not a pile of shit either. But I'm feeling Hopper's. I've heard Hopper's name a lot, but yeah, it's going to be. We'll see. Yeah, I can't give more than that. Yeah, so Broad won't go anything. Martin, the thing about Martin, I've already addressed that. That's all fucking wives' tales and plastic boobs. Oh yeah, with the change in Manning Lucas, got nothing to do with it. From what I heard this beginning of the year that the favourite Adam Rioli's name was called and everything has come up to it. Has led me in, he's parked his contract. Now I think we'll keep him. Hopefully we'll keep him, but I don't know if it's love talking. But it's a good chance. Just get conditional. There's a chance we might lose him.
Well, you can't blame clubs for coming after him based on the form line. So it'd be crazy not to ask the question.
Oh, sentimental, not really, mate. That's sorry. I don't ever want to disrespect a person on our chat, but that's really a crock of horse shit. I mean that respectfully. Who have we lost that we've put a lot of time in? Don't go see CJ and Chol, right? That's bullshit. Markov, you can make a case that he was going to get delisted, but we gave him another year and he kicked on. Who else have we lost that is this person we put a lot of development into? We don't. We generally keep who we want to keep. We always have. It's just that's why Rioli would be a bit of a shock.
We lost Ben Lennon.
Oh yeah, he was
Corey Ellis.
I love Ben Lennon. I loved him. When we got him, I said, you know what? He had all the makings for a good player, Ben Lennon.
He did.
He did. His field kicking was elite in traffic, but he was just so fucking slow.
Slow of mind as well as slow of body.
Yeah, he had that 1 second delay. VFL, you can get away with it. He's got Ross's problem.
It's like listening to the radio at the footy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll sit on that for a couple of weeks, and we'll reconvene a bit more and can share a bit more. So
there you go. Did you see that from Nick?
Can I address that? Yeah. I'm with you, Nick. I'm with you. That's what I'm hoping, right? But the thing is that we've with Broad, we've got obviously Rioli. We've got a few players that we're looking at. How can I say? It's going to make sense in 3 weeks. But anyway, we're targeting a pretty elite player. If that comes through, we're going to lose someone. Right? I'm not saying it's Rioli, but we're going to lose someone. Rioli was funny. It was like a side note because I heard that late last year. And then, a couple of my mates in the industry are saying, we've heard his name, and that's how I sort of know there's something there. But, if we get this elite player, right, there's going to be dominoes will fall. I mean, we won't lose Broad. We won't lose our core culture players. We won't. And for me, I consider Rioli one of those. But, you've got Adelaide Crows. They're going to come offering 500 grand, 600 grand a season. Would he stay for that? It's going to be a big ask. We've had players, just to answer, what's his face? Let's get back to sentimental bloke. We've had players stay at our club for considerably less.
Works both ways, I guess. Danny, to answer your question, have your trades ever been true? The short answer is yes. We can recap some stuff in another show.
Thank you, James. It was a gun.
And Brandon Ellis is probably the other one. It was a good one that we lost. But anyway, thank you for that, Tiggs. Thank you for your time, son, EJ. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Much appreciated. We will catch up again very soon, no doubt. And hopefully Thursday night's a win for the Tigers. Thursday night, MCG. Port Adelaide might not make it there. I'm not sure they know where the change rooms are at the MCG against us. But hopefully they'll be there. Should be a good game, an absolute desperate must-win game. Good luck to everyone who is going to be out there. I'm still sick, so I won't be, but should be a cracker.
Can I ask everyone just to follow us on Twitter, actually follow? The reason why that's important, funny enough, the way the algorithm works, when we do a tweet, it will link, say one of your followers will see it, and I actually see anything coming through the BigFooty Tigercast. So I'm not, follow me or follow Michaels or EJ, whoever it is. But please, when you finish this show, hop on Twitter and just click follow. That's all it takes. It'll get more exposure for the show, which it can only be a good thing. And also, Dan, make sure, mate, you listen in 3 weeks. But if it's earlier than 3 weeks, I'll let you know, mate. I want you to sit down and get your notepad out and write every single thing I say, and we'll see how we go.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Thank you so much. And subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you find us. And we will speak to you all next week. So till next time, go Tigers.
All the best. Thank you, mother, for the rabbits.